For more on the story, we're joined by ANC Northwest member Pakiso Moikela. Good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time. Firstly, let's talk about those who are contesting the continuation of this conference and are alleging that the acting Secretary General of the party has hijacked the processes.
Good evening, Kathy. Indeed, we noted that throughout the running of the process, remember, there were grievances that were raised within the conference. And before that, there was a letter that wrote by one of the comrades from Tsobota to the Secretary General, the TG, Comrade Paul Mashatile, raising grievances that were raised by that particular conference. Within the conference, there were issues at the registrations point of view. So now we noted that there were court order around the 13 that was ordered the IPC not to vote into that particular conference. Now it has raised eyebrows when we noted that there were a number of issues that were not attended to, like the disputes that were there. In my branch, there were issue of the registration of other delegation instead of me as a delegate from the branch. Now, people that were entered into that particular conference, majority of them were bogus delegates. Actually, they entered into the conference only because they were favoring a certain grouping of comrades into the conference. But we noted, after noting that there was a court order, the interpretation of the court order to us led us to where we are today, to say, indeed, if the court had ordered that the IPC should not vote because the law was standing of that particular IPC, their mandate had already lapsed a long time ago. We felt that indeed this it shows there will be regularities into that particular conference. And indeed, that had happened in that way, Ma'am Kathy.
So let's talk about, what happens now and the status of the second part of this conference that still needs to be held.
Kathy, we acknowledge that the conference is still on, but only because we did not have an opportunity to go raise our frustration that we had found at the administration point inside the conference. Remember, there were comrades that had wrote a petition inside the conference requesting that the frustration that they are having being adhered to, and they did not being dealt with accordingly. What happened after the adoption of the credential that were ruled from them by the program director inside the conference and instruct them that they must go and vote. We know that we won't have any ample time or opportunity to go raise this thing, because there was a communique that came out during the week that says the only delegates that are going to participate are delegates that were part of the conference on the 12th up until the 14th. So it says clear that we are being suppressed. We are not going to get any opportunity to raise these things. And ANC doesn't have a political interest of addressing this particular frustration. So the only way for us to be heard is to head to court and see to it that can't we get a relief from that particular point of view.
So Pakiso, are you part of those members then that are taking this matter to court?
Yes, Kefi, I'm taking this particular matter to court. Mind you that the reason behind this whole thing is that the leadership that will be elected out of that particular conference, it got a responsibility to see to it that it's going to lead this particular province for the period of 4 years. And it can't be correct that we elect the leadership with the fraudulent processes, noting very well that it's going to affect the entire province very bad accordingly and for the period of 4 years. So I'm the one of the applicant there. And besides this particular thing, I was been fortunate enough that I was fighting the issue of the manipulation of the list of councillors before, and even now we noted that this thing is being deliberately done by so-called leaders that they didn't want to see this particular process being dealt with accordingly.
So Pakiso, very briefly then, what does this mean for the standing of those officials that were elected literally just over a week ago?
The legitimacy of that particular PEC, it will be determined by court, because one is unable to raise this thing inside the conference. The credentials were closed, and the conference had continued. Though there was an order that says the people that had arranged or participated in preparing this particular conference, they did not have a mandate. Now,
all right.
Our local stand there to say, if the IPC did not have the local stand of arranging this particular conference, their mandate is finished.
All right. Pakiso, we're going to have to leave it there. Unfortunately, that connection to you also deteriorating as we continue. But you heard there, these are matters then that will be challenged before the court. That issue is expected to be heard on Thursday.